Hello everyone, we are going to be building off our previous example of a small little app that takes the item price, number of items. Here's all the same code we were working with in the previous video, and now we're going to optimize this code so that it can catch errors, because I'm sure as you run through the code you find errors occasionally. I'll show you one really quick. When I press calculate here, and when I press calculate, I get an error if I don't fill in either of these fields, right? Input string was not in the correct format. So we can adjust our code and we can accommodate for that. So let's walk through how we would do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is stop the debugger. There's two different ways we can do that. The first way is a try catch block. So let's build a try catch. I'm going to wrap all this code inside of the try block. And as you might expect, the way the code is going to operate, it's going to try everything in this block. And if it's not successful, we will catch what caused that error. And in this case, we're just going to display the error. There's plenty of other useful things you can do. But for simplicity, we'll just catch the error and display it to the user. So let's see how this code runs. So all we did here is put this catch block and the try block. So all this code in the middle here stays the same. So let's calculate. Input string was not in the correct format. Okay, so now the user has the opportunity to see what was showing up in our debugger as we ran the code. That's pretty nice. And let's say I have something already in there. So we can't really determine which text box is causing the error. There's nothing in here that differentiates it. All we've done is this carte blanche big catch everything that's running in the code. So now, another way we can do this, by the way, this is perfectly acceptable. Another way we could do this is to hone in on the elements of the code that we want to check for. We don't necessarily need to check for the variables, or well, maybe there could be errors that happen here. But variable assignments, very unlikely to have an error. Message box, show, unlikely to have an error. Another built-in function that I'd like to show you is this TryParse function. So built within this parse is the ability to check if the result worked. So let's do that. I have some of the code already saved here. So I'm gonna paste it right below it so that you can see the difference in the code here. So on the top here, we have item price being assigned the value inside the text box. After, what the parse function is going to do is going to read whatever's inside of this, inside the parentheses. It's going to read it and try to convert it to a double. That's the data type. And it's going to assign it to item price. Down here, everything that I just explained is all on the right-hand side of the equal sign. So the double TryParse, which is very similar to the try catch block that we just used, it's going to read this and try to save it out into item price. Now, if it doesn't work, then we have this variable here. So as I'm mousing over, you can see this is the standard function prototype of what the TryParse function does. So that first word in blue there that says boolean, that means everything here is going to return a boolean. So everything on the left-hand side is what it's going to return. It's going to return a boolean. So I need a boolean for price parse. So now if this works, this boolean will say, good job, true. The parse was successful. Now if it doesn't work, it's going to be false. So let's create another boolean for item parse success. And now we want to check if parse was successful. And now that we have created this code, let's delete the old code, so we're not redoing the same operation twice. And here I have saved a little snippet of code. I'm going to paste that in here and walk us through it. So here we're going to check the value of our parse here. We're going to check if it was true or false. Now the way the if statement works is anything that's true jumps us into this block of code. Same down here. So whatever's inside the parentheses, if it evaluates to true, a boolean is a true or false value. If it evaluates to true, we enter this block here. I also put in this exclamation point, which flips the boolean. We won't go into too much detail right now, but the reason I did that is because when it's successful, it's true, but I only want to go in here when it's not successful. So that's why I did the exclamation point. It flips the boolean, but we'll talk about that more later. So let's just run this really quick and see how our program responds. So I'm going to put nothing inside of these text boxes because we saw earlier that creates the error. So let's do that. And right away we see price text box has incorrect data. That's the error message that I've told it to display if it's not able to successfully parse what's inside the text box. So let's click OK. The program will continue running. Item text box has incorrect data. So because I left item text box, we also saw this line of code run. And then it also finishes the code. So another positive with adding the TryParse is these values here are being given actual numbers. I would assume that they are probably, the variables probably equal 0. I want to find my variable list here. Huh, I'm not getting a variable list. Maybe because I didn't, probably because I didn't start the debugger, but let's see if this gets us. There's our local variables. Yeah, we can see here price parse and item parse, or excuse me, num items and total are 0. So that's why our total said. Let's go through these real quick. That's why our total is 0 here, because we're displaying item price times num items. Those are both equal to 0. But the nice part of all of this is our code didn't break, right? Yes, the user got a funky answer, but our program maintained itself. It continued to work, and that's the the power of the try catch. In this case, it's just a try parse. Earlier, what I showed you was a try catch. Both are good ways of catching errors in code and come highly recommended. And that is all I want to cover for this video, so thanks for watching.